Hey everyone, welcome to the Your Money Your Life podcast. We're on episode 267 of the podcast. Do me a quick favor, wherever you're listening, you like, subscribe, 5-star, rate, and review this podcast. All the same thing on YouTube, do the same exact thing. We're going to dive into it this week. There's going to be a lot to talk about in current news. There'll be a lot to talk about in the roundtable where we discuss some of the strategies and things you should think about when there is a correction in the market, right? Like, especially for young people, not even young, especially for someone that's not expiring or leaving us in 5 months, right? Like, what are the things you should look at? So that's what we'll discuss. Let's first dive into our market update and give a little tell on what's the things to look at in this current time period and how you can approach this. So bring the chart as we always do, and pulling the picture out for 1 year. A picture is a lot bleaker in the short term, right? The last 5 days, the markets move lower. Last month, it's moved lower, primarily driven by a lot of the tariff wars and different things that's going on geopolitically right now. That's the main thing that's driving stocks in this direction. Inflation has actually gotten better. There's more data on inflation that is showing that things are getting better. Let's dive a little bit into that and what that means. So tariffs are being threatened all over the place. Investors did get encouraging data on inflation. So the February producer price index, which measures the cost of producing consumer goods, and it's also a good indicator of inflationary pressures, was flat last month compared with an expected increase. So economists, people that project, thought there would be an increase. It was actually flat. This is alongside data that we got on the consumer price index side that said that things were getting a lot less hot, right? They were cooling down. So inflation is getting better, and it probably isn't going to come back to levels we thought because of a few different things. There's government layoffs and government firings right now. There is, you know, people's confidence in their current job is at the lowest levels it's been in a while. And you're seeing people when they expect some sort of recession or slowdown in the economy, they move as such, right? It's that ever never ending cycle of people expecting something and they put it into fruition by already making the moves as if it was already in front of them, right? And so that's a big thing. So we've seen that push in the market, and we'll talk about like why that isn't something to is what you can do or why patience is important and what you can do. Look at a 5-year chart. Every one of these dips or corrections, people have told you the world has ended every single time. You hear it all the time. Oh, do I sell everything? Is the world going to end? No, it's not. We're still at highs. The market has not even gone to any of its previous lows. Like if you look at the chart, like pull it back and take a look. It feels worse because when something corrects, it always feels bad to you, right? That's just mentally. But so we'll talk more about that in the roundtable. Let's go into a little bit of the data on inflation. Again, it was better than expected. Things are slowing. Um, the consumer price index rose 2.8% in February, down from 3% in January. And we saw the producer price index numbers as well. This is really a sign that, again, inflation is cooling. So you have to understand that you're seeing inflation cool. How does that affect, the economy in a larger way, in a larger sense, along with the other factors that investors are thinking about, which is tariffs, job loss, layoffs. Those are things that also play a huge part. So let's talk about that on the job side. Layoffs are now coming to fruition. It's government especially, which is again unfortunate for everyone involved. But if you read this article by Melissa Cantor's editor at LinkedIn News, it said it should become clear how the U.S. government will carry out a second wave of mass layoffs. Federal agencies' cost-cutting plans, including proposals for how to reduce staff by significant numbers, are due to the White House Thursday. The first round of firings, led by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, has already resulted in the elimination of more than 100,000 jobs. Wow. And left state agencies scrambling to address the surge in job loss. So that's, again, not a good thing. But something we warned out in the beginning of the year, a segment on CNBC that we were going to do, I believe. But the job loss is going to really push, I think, over to the edge into more of a recession-like atmosphere, a potential recession-like atmosphere, especially if they continue to carry out these job losses. Spending will be less. Fear will increase. Speaking of fear, employee confidence is at a record low. This is a survey that they do. Unemployment might be low, meaning people have jobs, but so is employee confidence. According to new data, 44% of employees said that they were optimistic about their business outlook in February. That's the smallest percentage in the survey's nearly 10-year history. So, economic uncertainty and concerns about job security are driving the slump. So, Glassdoor's lead economist wrote on LinkedIn, the record low is another indicator that the labor market could be softening following a resilient start to the year. So it's been resilient for a long, long time. People have predicted, and we've sat here and listened to the prediction. They also predicted potentially slowdowns, job loss, and now it's actually materializing this in the private sector, in the public sector, excuse me, and could spill into the private sector as well. So that's a big thing to note. Employer, how do you feel at your current job? Is confidence low? I've talked to some people that did feel fearful. And it was just a fear that was as lingering, and that's something you can't get over, especially when you're hearing news. And then that's the thing, people need to understand news and headlines. It gives you information and it's there to give you information, but it also drives clicks, advertising revenue. So not everything needs to be taken as prophecy. You have to understand what applies to you and what doesn't. That's part of discernment, right? To understand what applies to you, what doesn't, and to know that things will always be all right in the end. That's a big, big thing to know. I don't know if this was interesting. Spotify does a loud and clear report where they talk about the streaming economy. They post numbers that tell how much they pay to the music industry because, of course, the music industry record labels own the music and they own the rights and they license it out to these people, platforms that get to use it and have the music on their platforms and they pay for that such. So here's Spotify. They said that they paid a record 10 billion this past year in 2024 to record labels. That's brings the total lifetime that they've paid to record labels to 60 billion. That's incredible. Streaming's tide rise. This is in the decade from I think was Spotify founded in 2014, but it said in the decade from 2014 to 2024, Spotify's yearly payouts to the music industry increased 10x from the 1 billion to over 10 billion. It's kind of crazy. The paradox of the music industry, for those that are interested in this, there are now more artists making money on Spotify than ever before. In fact, the number of artists generating royalties at every threshold on the site went from 1,000 to 10 million per year, has at least tripled since 2017. So, some pretty interesting numbers. Another record year for songwriters. Songwriters, of course, get paid out and own some of the rights to the music. New music millionaires in 2024, nearly 1,500 artists generated over 1 million in royalties from Spotify alone. That's pretty cool. Um, so there's a lot of data. I think it's always cool to see when companies like Spotify or Netflix peels back the curtain and gives you a look at what's actually going on and what's, you know, puts pick the number in an intriguing, exciting way so you can look at it. That's pretty cool to see. Really, really cool. Millions, so this should have been in our job segment, but millions in the US juggle several jobs. I saw this yesterday when I was looking for stories and thought it was interesting. One job for about 8.6 million people in the US, that's no longer enough, according to February's job data. More people than ever have multiple jobs, dating back to when tracking began in 1994. So this findings can signal that employment opportunities are easy to come by, but the more likely reason for people holding multiple jobs is the persistence of inflation. So people are saying to keep up with cost and all the cost increases, they have to have multiple jobs. Also, people are saying it's easier more now than ever to have multiple jobs because you could be working from home. A lot of people working from home, working multiple jobs, and they haven't been like called out on it, right? Like there are a lot of people doing that. It was very easy to get a job back in 2022, 2020, maybe even 2023 a little bit. But definitely in 2022, it was like a crazy hiring spree, especially in tech industries, right? So that's a really interesting to look. I think, it probably leans more now for people that are looking to keep up with cost increases, but that's to be seen. Was there any other good reports, good stories that we wanted to touch on? Delta had some issues. They're slashing revenue forecasts. What's going on with airlines? Have we talked about that? What is going on with airlines, man? I'm like the least afraid of person of flying. Do it with these any flight, anytime. I enjoy it. But man, what is going on with flights these days? Like it's just like it doesn't seem as just you know seamless as it once did. Is that real or what's going on there? Someone have an answer for that? Hopefully. Let's dive into a little bit of the roundtable and just discuss what we see and what we think happens now, right? I think the first thing to realize is corrections again are good, right? Let's take the 5 year chart and look at the point that we've gone over the last month or so, right? That's literally a month. February 9th, March 9th, February 9th, March 9th. It's like, right? So corrections are good. They give you people an opportunity, especially longer term investors, to take advantage of these corrections, take advantage of these corrections to buy assets that are attractive. And it's gonna feel weird. Of course, it's feel weird, but patience is like always a part of investing. Like if you're not patient, you don't get the payoff. If you are just always trying to buy at the top when people are talking to you about investing, right? If you see my chart, I'm pointing to the top of 2021, which was literally like the top of the market at that time. And then it was a year or so, almost a year of pain for investors, right? But this wasn't pain. If you were understanding and doing the same things you've done year over year, which means saving monthly or saving periodically when you have the time, you bought at these prices, which is good. Even if you bought at, these prices or even these, and you didn't pull or sell when things got to here, you were still fine because look at what we are now. Right. And so understanding the bigger picture in the most simplest terms I could put it for people, especially young investors, patience is good. Time in the market, meaning the amount of time you are in the market, is better than timing the market. Trying to time, really all you do is going to buy here and you're going to sell here because no one emotionally is able to understand or see a bigger picture when they're dealing with funds. Also, invest what you are able to invest. Like, right, like stop trying to overdo things and or not focus on the main thing, which is cash flow, income sufficiency, jobs. That's what should be the most focus versus trying to do something where you're trading and making money. Must be hundreds of billions of people tried that and it never works out. The best thing to do is have income, cash flow, sufficiency for what your lifestyle is. Again, so if you see here, this is again an opportune time. I think it'll be short. I think what we will see with this correction will be short. Get through the first 100 days of this year, meaning get to roughly where we thought things would, correct and then turn around roughly late spring, early summer. Get through that, and this is a good time to actually be saving, to be honest, because I think that's when you'll see that correction. It'll be a shorter time frame for this correction, to be honest. It'll be volatility as well during this time frame, which people understand volatility. You haven't really seen it, right? Look at the dips in 2024. There's a lot of ups. Then you saw a little volatility. And people even then would have said something. But look at the amount of volatility. It's not crazy, especially for those people that have understood that time in the market is better than timing the market. So take advantage of this is what I'm telling people because it's something to take advantage of for those that are thinking longer term and thinking smart. So that's the thought on how to deal with corrections, how to deal with it. We've talked about it multiple times. We've been right. There's never been a market that's gone to zero despite what headlines you'll see and what you'll hear. They're just not going to happen. You just want to take advantage of these things and do it to the best of your ability, right? And so that's a thought. Keep that in the back of your mind. Keep all the stuff we're doing in the back of your mind. I want to say congratulations to one of our first clients we had a long time ago that just had something incredible happen for him and his family. One of the first people that we met when we started this journey of New Street Advisors Group, and he is now secure generational wealth for him and his family. We're happy to be alongside, playing a part and helping him with that. Super, super cool to see. People, make sure you stay in touch with us every week. Stay locked in because we do this every week. We'll talk to you next week.